Hi, everyone, and welcome to the National Organization for Rare Disorders and the Aplastic Anemia and MDS International Foundation's webinar, Introducing the Global PNH Patient Registry. Thank you for joining us today. I am Joanna Lopez, a research associate at NORD. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to provide you of NORD's code of conduct for this in all of our events. Respect is critical as we work together to serve our rare disease community. As always, we want our programs to be safe spaces for all to participate. The full code of conduct is available on this workshop page. For today's webinar, we'll give a little background information on AMDSIF, NORD, and the IamRare program and platform, the importance of the Global PNH Patient Registry, and how you can get involved with the registry. So now I will turn it over to Dr. David Arten, Chair of the Medical Advisory Committee, and Janice Frey-Angel, CEO of AMDSIF, for some welcoming remarks.
Thank you for that introduction. It's a pleasure for me to be involved in this registry and in this webinar. I've had a lot of experience working with the AMDSIF and with NORD, and I think that we have something here that is really going to be beneficial for our patients and our patient community.
And hello, I'm Janice Frey-Angel. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of Aplastic Anemia and MDS International Foundation. We're pleased to be partnering with NORD to launch the Global PNH Patient Registry. Let me tell you a little bit about AMDSIF. We're a patient-focused, patient-centered organization. We're dedicated to supporting patients and families living with aplastic anemia, MDS, and PNH, and related bone marrow failure diseases. AMDSIF supports patients through education, through patient and family conferences and webinars, patient education materials, and both in print and digital. You can go to our website and download, or we'll send out any materials to you for free, and patient support groups and all kinds of networks. And we also do a lot of health professional education. We are a resource for health professionals through research grants, through symposiums, through our biennial International Scientific Symposium, and professional education webinars. Next slide.
So NORD is an independent nonprofit working to improve the lives of rare disease patients and their families. NORD supports patient organizations, contributes to research, provides education, and disseminates information driving public policy. You can learn more about NORD and how to get involved at rarediseases.org. NORD offers core programs and services in 5 areas: research, patient services, membership, education, and policy and advocacy. The IamRare program falls in the research department, which you will hear a little bit more about later. So, rare disease patients have faced some of these obstacles and challenges at one point in their life. Little is known about the rare disease progression, and burden can often lead to delays in diagnosis. There are few medical experts and limited FDA-approved treatments. Only 5% of rare diseases have treatments, and the cost of care is high. Oftentimes, these rare diseases require extensive lifelong medical needs. Even after receiving a diagnosis, patients can experience social isolation and have trouble knowing where to go and connect with others. Oftentimes with rare disease, populations are small and scattered, so connecting with others who have the diagnosis can be difficult. There are 2 types of registries: contact and patient registries. Contact registries mainly collect patient information for tracking purposes and follow-up. Patient registries, in particular natural history studies, follow patients over a longitudinal time period. Natural history studies allow us to follow the progression of the disease from the pre-symptomatic phase to diagnosis and to other different clinical stages throughout the patient's lifetime. Natural history studies are important because they inform patient care and best practices, contribute to disease understanding, identify research priorities, and inform drug development. Natural history studies collect information on diagnosis, demographics, genetic information, patient-reported outcomes, comprehensive medical data, and clinical trial matching. So this is a little bit of our history of the IamRare registry program. The IamRare platform is a research tool designed to capture the natural history of a disease. It is a patient-driven registry that uses information collected to describe a disease over time. NORD launched the first registry on the platform in 2014. In 2015, NORD was awarded a cooperative agreement from the Food and Drug Administration to implement 16 additional patient registries for rare disease organizations. Over the course of 6 years, our registry program has really grown. And in 2020, we launched the Undiagnosed registry, which helps collect information for those who do not have a disease diagnosis. Since launching in 2014, we have over 40 rare conditions represented, over 12,000 participants, and over 115,000 survey submissions. So now we'll talk a little bit more about the Global PNH Patient Registry. I'll turn it over to Dr. David Arten and Janice to speak a little bit more about PNH and the need in the project community.
So, at AMDSIF, we know that patients have a critical role in advancing research to better understand their disease and improve treatments. We understand that PNH patients face many of the same challenges encountered by other patients with rare diseases, such as delayed diagnosis and treatment, limited understanding of disease progression and burden, lack of specialists for treatment and consultation, ongoing medical needs and expenses, and very small total population, which is spread all around the world. The Global PNH Patient Registry is designed to address all of these and other challenges faced by the PNH patients and researchers.
So I have been involved in the care of patients with PNH and in research related to PNH actually since 1995. And what's really struck me is how much better things have gotten since then. And there are a lot of reasons for that. It has to do with better understanding of the disease itself and its relationship to aplastic anemia on the level of cells and molecules. And for that, we have to thank our laboratory research community. And some of these projects have been supported by the AAMDS-IF. And then the other thing that that I attribute this to is better understanding of the disease on the part of patients and physicians, and better understanding of what happens to patients who have PNH. And then, quite importantly, also is the availability of now 2 new drugs that have been approved for PNH, and there's probably going to be likely a 3rd one. And also better understanding of how to use the drugs that are approved for other disorders like aplastic anemia and blood clotting disorders. And before going on to the next slide, I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page about what PNH is and what physicians and patients deal with. So PNH, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, is on the first surface, it's actually what the disease, what that name describes. That the patient will wake up in the morning and will see dark urine due to hemolysis, and that was what identified the disease. But we now know that it is also associated with aplastic anemia and bone marrow failure, and also blood clotting. And some of the treatments that are used to treat PNH have a small risk of infection that needs to be tracked. And some patients, very rarely, will go on to develop more serious bone marrow diseases. But that's something that we need to be tracking also as a research community, and physicians caring for patients need to track that so that we can identify the rare patient who has that kind of complication. And we've also seen now some new things that can happen in patients with PNH that we only see in patients who are treated, such as iron levels going up and gallstone disease, things like that. So I think that this registry is going to help us really track those things over a large number of patients and help us better understand how to use the drugs that we have available to us and how to better counsel our patients. So maybe I could see the next slide. So the aim of the Global PNH Patient Registry is to be a data collection study for patients around the world to share information about PNH that will fill current and future gaps in research. So the goals are to empower and unite the PNH community through shared knowledge, collect data on demographics, quality of life, treatment, diagnosis, and PNH symptoms, and to increase PNH knowledge and understanding of the progression of the disease. And one of the things that we're going to emphasize is that this is a database that the patients will enter in their own data. And so the patients themselves actually will play a critical role in the quality of the data that we get. And the better data that we get, the more we can learn about PNH in a real-time way as situations change. So we have a real interest in getting our patients as involved as they can and to get them to understand how to enter in data that's going to be most useful for all of us. So I think now I'm turning it back over to Joanna for the next slide.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ayrton. So the Global PNH Patient Registry launched this year. The registry contains surveys to capture data on demographics, quality of life, PNH symptoms, and treatment. So the surveys are added and updated periodically in the registry. Patients will be invited to come back on a schedule to enter data and share their experience. So a few of you may be familiar with the PNH registry that is sponsored by Alexion. Dr. David Arten can speak a little bit more about that registry, but the main difference is that the Global PNH Patient Registry will be patient-reported. Participants will be able to input their own data and answer surveys. It is a longitudinal study, so every 6 months or so, participants will be prompted to update their surveys. The PNH registry, sponsored by Alexion, has data entered by physicians or healthcare providers only. I do want to point out that both registries are observational, collect data every 6 months, and do have a purpose to gain a better understanding of PNH and improve treatment. Dr. Ayrton, if you want to say a few words on the Alexion PNH registry.
Yes. So I see these two registries as being complementary. They will give us different information and together will be very powerful. The PNH registry that's sponsored by Alexion that you're showing us on the right-hand side of the slide, that one really asks specific questions like yes, no, multiple choice, check off, enter in numbers. And there'll be some of that in this registry also, but this one had the Global PNH Patient Registry on the left-hand side of the slide. This one has the opportunity for patients to enter in their own narratives. So it's a little bit like the difference between a multiple choice test and an essay question on a test. And this will actually be able to be queried, and we can pull out data that patients enter on things that the other one can't capture. For example, the other one does not have any questions about COVID infection, whereas this one, you can type in anything you like. So we'll be able to see how many of our patients are telling us about their COVID vaccines or their COVID infection and what their experiences are. And that's something that the PNH registry, it could, on the right-hand side of the screen, it could do if it were updated to include that. But the the global PNH patient registry will be able to do it in real time, provided that patients enter in data telling us about what's happening with them.
Thank you, Dr. Ayrton. So now some important insights about the global PNH patient registry. This is an IRB approved patient registry. An IRB is a board, committee, or a group that reviews and approves research involving human subjects. So this means every individual providing data to the registry will have to sign an informed consent form to allow de-identified data to be utilized for future research. And just a reminder that participation in this registry is voluntary, and participants can withdraw at any time if they choose to change their mind. So the data from the registry can be used to produce peer-reviewed publications that will help disseminate important insights from the registry to the medical community. The data is representative of the patient voice because it is patient-reported. De-identified data from the registry can also be shared with other organizations and researchers to help support collaborative projects. The data from the registry can be used to produce peer-reviewed publications that will help disseminate the data collected through the patient registries on the IamRare platform has been presented through many venues and formats, including patient and medical conferences, webinars, publications, posters, and community reports. So NORD, in collaboration with Trio Health, developed the Power of Patients book that highlights the experience of individuals and families living with rare diseases and demonstrates the importance of patient registries and natural history data to shape the rare disease landscape. You can request a copy of the Power of Patients book by emailing research@raredisease.org. So now we'll talk a little bit more of the data that we expect to get from the Global PNH Patient Registry. So we hope that the data from the Global PNH Patient Registry will inform patient care and best practices, assess patient and caregiver experiences, contribute to disease understanding, identify research priorities, estimate the number of affected patients and those available to participate in research, evaluate the individual and global economic burden of death, inform drug development, and provide an avenue for biospecimen collection. So the Global PNH Patient Registry will inform patient organizations, industry, clinicians, but most importantly, patients, families, and their caregivers. Participants in this registry will have access to their data, other aggregated de-identified data, have insights to patient outcomes, and have a resource for conversations with clinicians and educators. So again, the Global PNH Patient Registry will also inform researchers and regulatory agencies. Researchers will be able to compare and validate findings with patient-reported outcomes, use trends from preliminary data to explore new areas, inform product development, validate measures, and establish new research protocols. Regulatory agencies can use the data to accelerate and improve research, evaluate outcomes from clinical trials, and contextualize clinical trial data and inform new models of engagement. So now we'll talk more about getting involved with the Global PNH Patient Registry. You can visit the Global PNH Patient Registry at pnh.iamrare.org. This is a screenshot of the landing page where you'll be able to register and join the registry on the bottom right-hand corner. We also have PNH resources available, such as a registry overview brief, a registration overview, and a frequently asked questions document. You can also learn more about AMDSIF by visiting their website at amdsif.org. So now we will open it up for questions. If you do have more questions specific to the Global PNH Patient Registry, please email us at nordregistry@rarediseases.org. For more information about PNH specifically and AMDSIF, please email pnhregistry@amds.org. And for more information about NORD, please email orphan@rarediseases.org. We have some questions that we received during registration that we will take some time to address. You can also type your question in the chat window. If we do not get to your question, our team will follow up with you on a later date. Okay, so one of the questions we've received is, how is the data collected and stored? So our data is stored on a secure web-based platform developed by NORD. Study participants respond to questions grouped with a series of surveys developed per study standards and in collaboration with disease-specific experts. The data is stored on NORD's registry platform system, which adheres to industry standards regarding security protection. Another question we received is, how long does it take to complete the surveys? So depending on the survey, each survey takes an approximate 10 to 15 minutes to complete. There is built-in branching logic that will hide questions that are not applicable to the participant, and that will help reduce the number of questions the participant answers. You can also choose to skip any question that is not required in each of the surveys. Is there a cost to participate in the registry? So there is no cost for patients to join the study. AMDSIF absorbs the cost of the registry for its community. So another question we received is the data safe? Yes, the data is safe, so the registry follows strict government guidelines to assure patient information is protected. The platform is served over HTTPS, which provides traffic encryptions to prevent eavesdropping and any cyber attacks. Communications between the registry platform application server and database are also encrypted. Okay. So another question that we received is, can the data be collected worldwide? The patient registry uses an online platform which allows participants to contribute data from anywhere in the world. So individuals from other countries can enter data into the registry, but they should be aware of the data and privacy laws may be different in the United States from other countries. This is a US-based registry that will protect data and privacy according to US requirements. Okay, so one of the other questions we received is, what is an informed consent? So the informed consent process involves 3 key features: disclosing to potential research subjects information needed to make an informed decision, facilitate the understanding of what has been disclosed, and promote the voluntariness of the decision about whether or not to participate in the research. Another question we received is, can you complete the surveys from an iPhone or mobile device? And the answer is yes. These surveys are mobile friendly, and you'll be able to create an account on your phone and answer the surveys on your phone as well. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining today. We appreciate your time. We are very excited to launch this registry, so we hope to have a lot of your support in the PNH community. Thank you.